So I have heard all of the bad reviews that Todd Phillips' Joker Folie à Deux has been getting, and having seen the film myself, I have my own feelings about what I saw. Now, I'm quite conflicted because there are things that I agree with others about when it comes to the negative aspects about the new film. But there are certain elements that I don't particularly agree with, and I think it's a film that is getting overly punished for the type of narrative it tries to present. Of course, everyone has got their own reaction towards it, and I completely respect what other people feel about the film. But I'm going to be giving you my thoughts on it and going into the overall impression that it left on me. There will be spoilers in this video essay, so if you haven't seen the film yet, then I'd recommend watching it before checking out this video. Before I get into it though, if you want to see more on upcoming DC projects, then don't forget to support this upload by giving it a like rating and subscribing to the channel. But without further ado, let's dive into my review for Joker 2. So in the days following Joker 2's release, the film has been met with a plethora of bad reviews on all platforms, a D cinema score from moviegoers out of the theatre, and terrible box office numbers. Now, in my opinion, the audience has sent a clear message that they don't like this film, and that they have some huge issues with it. And at the end of the day, movies are subjective, so I respect whatever range of reactions have come out for it. But I can only give my own review and share what I personally thought about watching the film. Like many, I was very disappointed with the final product, but I also leave the theatre respecting a lot of other elements of it too. Unlike many others, I found the intentions of director Todd Phillips with Folie à Deux to be actually quite respectful. Things to get to the heart of Joker as an idea, and a project that deconstructs Arthur Fleck as a character quite well. I also applaud the filmmaking and acting on display, which is at a level here that you don't see in many other comic book related projects today. Yes, it's not Joker 1 good, but I didn't think it was necessarily horrible. So I'm now going to present a deep dive into both my positives and my negatives, not just fully one side or the other. Starting with the positives, I think what has really grown on me over the days since seeing the film is the way the movie escalates and the ideas that it's trying to present to us through its final scenes. The climax of Joker 2 is let loose on us after the brutal attack by Arthur's prison guards and the tragic death of his fellow inmate, Ricky. This assault marks a significant turning point, echoing the original film where we learn that Arthur was a victim of sexual abuse. Phillips cleverly references this childhood trauma when the guards beat Arthur, or he alludes to it, and it signals a moment of reflection for that character. Essentially, the themes that initiated Joker have come full circle by the film's conclusion. Following this moment, Phillips dedicates his final scenes to the deconstruction of Arthur Fleck and his Joker shadow. He informs the jury in court, and by extension the audience, that he's finished providing them with the chaos they anticipate. So the director is commenting on the audience's response to the first film, making it clear that viewers shouldn't expect to sympathise with the idea of Joker. This point is further emphasised when Lee and a few others leave Arthur in court, highlighting their indifference towards him and their sole interest in the Joker. And thus, we get the beginning of Phillips' deconstruction. In the first film, we witnessed how a broken man in a broken society can push a fractured society towards chaos. Political shortcomings breed individuals like the Joker, and the media amplifies ideas like that under the guise of entertainment. That film served as a stark cautionary tale. Then the director gave his input to the reaction of that film's ending, making it clear that he didn't want people to come out of his character study feeling excited by the chaos caused. Think of it in a similar way to how Frank Herbert took the response to his first Dune book and made Dune Messiah to clarify what his true intentions were for the character of Paul Atreides. Phillips, in his own way, has done that for the character of Arthur Fleck in Joker 2. And the animated short at the very beginning of the film is the perfect way into this approach. The Me and My Shadow cartoon recaps the events of the first Joker, but does so by presenting Joker as Arthur's shadow. Now a star as the Joker, Arthur grapples with the challenges posed by his shadow self, who revels in chaos, steals the spotlight, and shifts the blame onto Arthur. This animated segment encapsulates the whole film's essence, showcasing the ongoing battle between Arthur and his counterpart, serving as the heart of the new film's narrative. It reveals that the Joker was never a positive influence on Arthur. Instead, it was a force that consumed him rather than something he could deal with. He needed help, and when societal support vanished, his shadow side emerged. So Phillips is essentially underlining all of this and saying that what he wants the audience to take out of his Joker is more the consequences of someone who ends up using Joker as a shadow persona rather than the fiery ascension that came with it. Now, some have argued that the film is more about Arthur Fleck, and because of this, it should have been called that over having the Joker title. To some degree, I don't disagree when it comes to a lot of what was presented, but I'd argue that the very ending of the film still links into this idea of Joker as a whole. In the end of Joker 2, the final scene involves an inmate we caught brief glimpses of earlier in the film. He stood out from the others and clearly had a fascination with Arthur Fleck, or perhaps more accurately, with the Joker himself. A guard approaches Arthur, announcing that he has a visitor, and when Arthur follows him, he ends up facing a brutal end at the hands of that mentioned inmate. The inmate who stops him claims that he has a joke to share, assuring Arthur that it will be brief. But when the moment for the punchline arrives, he echoes Arthur's last words to Murray, saying that you get what you effing deserve, and stabs him multiple times. As Arthur collapses lifelessly to the floor, the inmate in the background begins to carve a grin into his own face, laughing in the background while he does so. Now, I think this is intended to signify the idea of Joker as a whole. Joker represents more than just one person, because as a symbol, he embodies chaos. This inmate at the end just suggests that Gotham will perpetually have a Joker as long as there are individuals who feel disenchanted with their surroundings and choose to embrace chaos. The suggestion here is that the Joker meant to clash with Batman isn't Arthur Fleck. Arthur was simply the muse for the clown prince of crime, with the essence of the Joker continuing to exist beyond his character. Arthur was a troubled man who became fed up with the love his shadow persona got from those in the city, rejecting that there was a man named Arthur Fleck who struggled beneath it. And whether this Joker at the end is someone who is also struggling beneath, it's left up to us to interpret. He could be someone who loves the chaos, or he could be just another broken soul who takes up that Joker persona. It's essentially taking Joker as an idea and applying a very sensitive yet important approach to it. And while I can understand why people are mad at this, I don't think it abandons the idea of Joker, nor does it abandon the point of Arthur Fleck's character throughout these two films. It simply deconstructs the idea of Joker and a man who people look up to as that character. Director Todd Phillips recognizes that characters such as the Joker carry significant consequences, and at the end of the day, there's always room for other interpretations and takes on both the Joker character and the idea of him. We've had so many over so many decades, so if you want a different approach, there will always be a different one. That's something I really respect about this ending, the direction of the film, and how that dissects the legacy of Joker in cinema. The director was not scared to take a different route when it comes to presenting the idea of Joker, and he didn't just give us something or an angle that we'd seen before. But after explaining what I like about the film and what I took from it, I can't deny that I was disappointed by a few other areas as well. Firstly, the musical numbers in the film were to me slightly distracting. While I liked the one scene set in the courtroom between Joker and Harley, the others felt too one-note. Musical sequences traditionally elevate the scenes around them and really paint a more detailed picture of the emotions of characters and the direction of the story. The issue with Joker 2's musical scenes is that a lot of them build on from a single thought of Arthur Fleck's and remain one note pretty much throughout. I get that the approach of Phillips was to present these in a very raw way, with the actors singing quite out of tune and not performing in a polished state. But the way the ideas were presented in the sequences could have gone a lot deeper or had a lot more impact. In a musical way, the opening animation did a way better job of communicating the film's ideas and concepts than a majority of these musical numbers covering known songs. And when you've got so many of them throughout the movie, it can become distracting. That's the thing, I found them to be interrupting and not as effective as they could have been. And this kind of extends to a lot of the other areas of Phillips' sequel as well. The film has some really interesting ideas and setup, but it needed better execution. Scenes feel like they repeat themes and talking points without the detail that the original film gave us. The production, especially in those musical sequences, was stunning to look at, but isn't as impactful as it could have been narratively. And that's what mainly doesn't work for me. While the meaning of this story and the ideas presented about Joker are truly fascinating and essential to the journey of Arthur Fleck, the actual presentation of them in the movie feels wafer thin. Phillips establishes an engaging storyline at the beginning of Folie à Deux, juxtaposing harsh, brutal prison experiences with Arthur discovering genuine joy for the first time. However, this momentum comes to a grinding halt during the trial, where we encounter talking points that are a near replica of the original film, complete with familiar characters. And by the conclusion of that trial, Arthur experiences a few moments of true remorse, and the closing scenes offer a deeper, more meaningful resolution. So essentially, I like the beginning and the very end of the film, but there's a lot in the middle of it that just made it feel too disjointed for me, musical numbers that felt interrupting, and many reoccurrences that left me feeling disappointed. Again, I don't hate this film, and as a massive fan of the original, I'm looking forward to revisiting it and seeing if it has a greater effect in the future. But after one watch, I do feel mixed on what I've seen. On one hand, I respect it as a bold finale about the ideas introduced to us in the first film, going against expectation, but doing so in a way that feels right for this interpretation of Joker as a symbol and Arthur Fleck. But on the other hand, the ideas aren't executed as smoothly as they were before. So I end up feeling like this is a film of missed opportunity, and one that doesn't call for me to watch it again so quickly like I did with the 2019 movie. Maybe that's because of how it approached the subject matter, maybe that's because of its execution, or maybe it was just my first experience with it. I'll have to see how I view the film in the time ahead, and like I said, I don't outright hate it. I just think there were things they could have done a whole lot better. But that was my review of Todd Phillips' Joker 2. I'm giving the film a rating of 6 out of 10. But to those who have seen the movie, what did you think of Todd Phillips' latest project? Do you think it's as bad as some people are saying it is? And what do you think to some of the points that I have raised in my review? It's all subjective, and I appreciate a range of reactions and reviews, so let me know down below in the comment section what you thought about the film, alongside things that stood out with your first impressions. For more videos on upcoming film releases like Joker 2, then subscribe to the channel and turn on your notifications. Also, if you enjoyed this video, remember to leave a like, rating, and follow me on social media via the links in the description. But anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed it. I've been Cortex, and as always, make some noise.